Hello there, it's Professor Stig, continuing with our Audrey 2 Maya project concerning the grouping and constraints for this rig. This example shows that we want to isolate the head, move the neck pretty well, rock and roll this from side to side, the whole upper body, and then of course move it to put it in a scene wherever you like it to be. Let's make that happen. Oh, and the coolest part is, yeah! Good. So this version has a joint structure that is disjointed. Right here at the top of the spine chain, the atlas, these all become their own chains. So let's look up here. The atlas group here, leaf group 1 through 6, and this spinal chain, which is the CG joint group on up to the spine joint 8 tip right here. That's where we'll be finalizing our IK handle. So understand when we grab the center of gravity that only those parts are connected currently. Let's put a IK handle in here to get this thing moving. Reset tool. You're going to have rotate plane solver as your selection for this operation here. So we'll go to the very second join up from the 1, 2. It would be the second spine to the tip of spine 8. Okay, let's name that IK handle. IK handle. So now when that gets moved, it's going to move that neck pretty nicely. I like that. I like that. Undoing it, we're going to put a group above this controller here. Let's just take these others and hide them. We'll probably make those again so you can see how that happens. This was just, as you can see, with the create curve CV curve tool under the one linear. That's how this was made. Front view, pretty much by snapping to the grid and doing something like this, right? That looks pretty good right off the bat. So that's how this one was made. I'm going to keep that for future controllers here. So let's take this one. It has been snapped, the center D has been snapped to the very last spine joint. So how that happened was V, just grab that, middle mouse drag it and hold down V and it should snap to that joint if you're patient enough to learn how to do that. Now I'm going to connect this to the IK handle. So select, then control click the IK handle. Okay, now this one is going to be a constraint. Parent. Reset. Turn off the rotate. So we just want the translation. So when you move the head forward, it operates the IK tool that runs the spine. Now let's make this atlas group. As you'll see, I've double grouped above the main jaw joint. So this atlas joint, no, I've only single grouped. I'm going to copy that and group it again. You'll see it pops to the bottom, so be aware of that when you are creating yours. And we need to get that center, see it's in the center of the Maya universe. We need to hit D, V, and drag that up to the base of the of the head, which will be the atlas joint. So now this double group that I speak of is actually happening. I'm attaching this handle to the top group of the atlas chain. We can do that with the same parent constraint, so that when this one moves forward, that head is orienting. Interesting. Oh, the IK handle switching. I need to get, I want a little different effect here. I'm hoping to not have it pull apart. Okay, let's not hook it to the, let's just hook it to this joint right here, to the joint, not the IK handle. Atlas main group, apply. Let's see. There's a different effect. See, now it doesn't pull apart. So be aware of that, and knowing how to break it apart if you had to. It's not working, but it shows a parent constraint of some kind. You just delete it, redo it until it happens. That does sound like the definition of crazy, but after all, we are making CG puppets, so it's just the way it is. These groups, these leaf groups, I'd like them to move along with this main neck controller. Let's call that neck controller. And K, neck for neck. I'm going to copy those, group them with that name, underscore leaf main. So I already have two groups above each leaf chain. So let's snap that to the top of the neck chain. That'd be spine 8 in my case. Let's get this name going. Just appending the word main to those so I have consistency. Once again, you'll see D is engaged. Bring that up to the last part of the spine. I believe that's going to be the best option. V. Oh, yeah. I just haven't turned my D off. If I turned it off, I'd have to turn it on every time. Let's just keep that pivot move tool on. Copy that, hit enter, then I group it, goes to the bottom. Main. Now, hit V and snap that by dragging it up. Middle mouse dragging there. Goes to that bottom. Oh. Okay, so I've done 1 through 6 on all the leaves. I hit shift, it closes those back up pretty nicely. So now I have main 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am going to constrain those all to not the controller, but the top of the neck spine. Okay, so click that, apply, click in the negative space, leaf 2 by control clicking the top group. Click the joint 3, 4, 5, 6. So move that handle. Yeah, that looks really strong. I like how that works. Okay, let's make a Save that. Now let's go and let's take that controller we started on up here. Where are you? Ah, there it is. Let's turn that off. It's up here. So we'll go to the front view. And let's find out where all the edit points are. Well, I want this one to curve over the top of the head. So let's add some points here. So go to curve. You have to be in edit point mode to do this. Insert knot is here somewhere. There it is. I'm resetting to show you that you want to go between selections and maybe two. That's what I'm doing. Insert closes that out. Now when you go to control verts, you can see there's more definition in there. Going to perspective view allows me to go to deform. Where am I going? Somewhere to nonlinear bend. Now high bound curvature. Let's make that 40. Create. We'll see it needs to spin on the x-axis 90 degrees. Edit delete by type. History. Let's do the same thing again by selecting the control verts. Apply another nonlinear bend, but here at the other angle. So this is also a 40. Create. But this one's going to be, let's spin that one on the 90 on this and on the Z. So now we have it bending this shape into a very concave, convex, because that's the side that's facing us. Edit delete by type. Now we just need to orient this down. Let's modify center the pivot. Modify center pivot. And that we're going to bring it down so we can manage it here. We're going to snap it the center without, we're not moving the center, we're snapping the whole object to the atlas joint. Now we need to spin it around. Let's do that at -90. Alright, let's raise it up so it's in a good place. Look at the monster. Shrink it down a little bit. I think that'll have a nice, maybe move it forward a little bit so it hovers right over the head. And now we move the pivot so that when we select it, the rotation manipulator shows up here, down around the head. So let's make that happen by hitting, if you haven't gone into D mode, go for it, V, and take it to right there. Now when you select it, see, your manipulator's down there. Let's freeze transform. Transform. We're going to call this head control. Okay, saving. Head control. Now we're going to, it's selected right now. I can see it in the outliner. I can also see that it's green here. And now I'm going to go right into, I'm just switching it to W mode so I can get to things. We're going to go to this atlas, not the main one because that one's constrained by the controller. We're going to go to the group in between. So I'm going to shift, real careful. I'm going to do a constraint, but this one's going to be an Orient constraint, which basically is all of the rotational values. Reset, add. So when this move, the predictable things, the head would move with it. Now right now, the head will not move. I should say the head controller will not move with the neck controller. So this now needs to be constrained to this. So select this controller, then the head controller, which needs to have a group above it. Group. And I think we should probably do one more while we're here. Oh, and group underscore main. Grow. Oh wow, I really messed that one up, but not too bad. Head control. Let's check it all. Head control group. Now those, hitting D to make that snap to where I think it should be at the atlas joint. control. Good. So now we can get out of that mode. We're gonna select. Remember, the last one is the constrained. So you select the head controller, the neck control curve, and the head control group. Let's do that. Constrain that with parent, reset, just for best practice, turn off rotate, add. Here we go. This is where it's already, target list was empty or contained no valid targets. Let's try again. Head control, inner group, let's try that, apply. Now, does that mean this is going to work as predicted? Yeah, that moves with the controls. I think that makes sense. Now, when this is out here, does this still rotate? Wow, that's awesome. There we go. So let's return this to zeros. And so far, so good. If I want to change the color of this curve, I go into Control A or go into the attribute editor, go into drawing overrides if it's not open, you go object display, drawing overrides, enable overrides. When you slide this, you're going to give it a color. Let's do something that stands out pretty well. I like that. Saving. I've met a milestone. Normally I save as an iteration of it. I'll make it 12B. Okay. Here we need more controls. So now we're going to move the neck from this position, the first spine, like this. But of course, that will also have this in tandem, so it doesn't work like that yet. Hold on. Well, when we constrain it all, that should make way more sense. So let's turn on some controls that I've made. We can delete. Actually, that one's pretty cool. We could do that one maybe for the main move. Let's do that. Let's make that 0. Snap that one to the center of the Maya world. Freeze transformations. This can be the center of gravity. That's fine. This one, yeah, let's make this the controller that operates the entire head coming out of the pot. I'm not going to toggle the D mode because I don't want to move the pivot. I want to move the whole object. So, hitting V, snap to the base, the one isolation joint, which is called the spine joint 1, away from the CG. Modify freeze transformations. I'm going to call this body control. Yeah, I guess that's a good name. Let's constrain that to this guy. Or let's constrain this bone with this. So we go curve, shift, select the bone. Now we're going to constrain it with both parent options, translate and rotate. So upon reset, translate, rotate, add. Now when this moves like this, great, it's moving that part. If we now constrain this neck control, now we're going to call this body, we're going to call this master control or main control curve. Yeah. So let's make a group above this one. Copy G. Because that's controlling it at a higher level above it. So net control curve group. Let's do. Let me get caught up here. Main net control curve D. Let's put that right up here at the spine 1. that control group. That's going to be the neck. You know what? I need to make that. I think it's better to do it here. Let's do it at the neck, where the neck goes. So they're all consistent with each other. This can be at the spine 1. The neck control can be at the neck, the end of the spinal chain. Okay, let's constrain that. We select the body control curve. Shift select the neck control curve. Constrain, parent. Let's try both. I'm going to hit apply and not close the dialog box in case I need to adjust something. But it works. That looks really strong. So now that whole head moves, and everything that the leaves stay in place. We might make a controller for those to tilt and rock as a group, and then independent controllers for each one. That will be fun. Let's color that one in something. Give it a good color. We're already in the drawing overrides because that was opened earlier. Let's make that one. Make that one red too. So it's yellow and red design scheme here. Okay, so this one will be yellow. In there somewhere. These were meant to make, those were used to make this real fast. I'll just point that out. In the top view, I took those curves, those two NURBS circles under the create NURBS primitives circle options with a radius of, it should have been more like 5, see, we'll see. Apply, maybe it was more like 4 was the better option, but that's how that was created on the y-axis. Then I went to the create curve tools, CV curve tool, linear 1, hit C and started making a curve that looks like that. I'm just trying to make something that's unique, that just doesn't always look like circles and boxes and circles and ovals and anything boring like that. You want to take pride in your rigging, because there's going to be a lot of people, or some people, really looking at it a lot as they work. So you might as well make it somewhat enjoyable as they work. So, okay, well, whatever. That was how it was built. And then you can straighten it up by clicking control curves and moving them around, or you can still click it to the curve by holding down C and driving it like that. So that's how that was made. Okay, so this is going to be the big move, the big mover here, the big, let's turn on the character. We want to make sure we can see it. So we'll turn on the monster, turn off the monster, move this whole thing. I'm trying to beat the 30-minute mark because that's where Camtasia, my recording program, as good as it is, it seems to crash after 30 minutes. So forgive me for going so fast. There's a lot to do here. Modify, freeze, transformations. I do hope that you can rewind this and understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to speak above your head. I just want to make sure I get all this to you so that you can be successful as well. Okay? This is going to control the thinking. Let's have it control from the center of gravity, because that's what it basically is moving, the whole character from that D center of gravity here. Okay, so I'm just moving the pivot. This is still in place, right on the ground. So let's constrain it. So we'll go here. CV, let's go see, where is the CG joint here in the outliner? I can hit F and focus. Let's just make a group above that one. Come on down here. CG joint group. And that we're going to center that. We're going to move that pivot to the center of gravity. It only makes sense. So here we go. Main controller curve, CG joint group, constrain. Oh, Try again. CG control click the CG joint group. If I double click it, we know what happens then, right? It starts becoming a child of it. Okay, constrain. Touchy controls. Touchy controls. Let's see, does this fly it around? Okay, it moves the does it move the CG joint? Yes. Now it has to move all of these as well. So we need to put a body control group above it. Copy group. Now let's snap that center. Let's move that pivot to the spinal. Oh, look at that. When I returned it, it moved it out of whack. This is not in the 0 position. It is now. Make sure everything's zeroed out if you can. Modify center pivot. That's how it's done. I'm sorry. Modify freeze transformations. Right here. Dialog box. That's how it's done. Okay, testing. Make sure I know what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, that's moving that. So now we need this body controller to have a group, and this one to have neck controller curve. This is hooked to here. I think I can connect it to that top one. And let me try it. Center of gravity, joint group, constrain. We're just going to have it parent, apply. Does it move that one? No. Body controller, come on. Body controller. There we go. Because this one's controlling that one. That's why it works. So there we go. Now we can roll it around even. And we can roll this one around. And the head stays oriented no matter where you put it, no matter how you rock it and move it around. There it is. That's really good. The only thing left is to do the leaves and the mouth. Let's do that in the next video. This is Professor Stig signing off for now. When we continue our Audrey Maya project in the next video. Take care.